welcome back to Café Sobar Kitchen. My name's Pete. Good to have you here again. Welcome back to anyone from Refugee roots. I hope you enjoyed the last video and maybe tried the Chana Masala, making the Chana Masala, and if you did, I hope you enjoyed it. Today we're going to work continuing on the theme of using chickpeas, which are a very nutritious, very inexpensive ingredient. And we're going to try and do something a little bit different in the form of a falafel burger, which is a very easy dish, very simple dish, but it's quite different from the Chana Masala, and I think you'll enjoy seeing what we can do with that. The ingredients that we've got, again, we've got some chickpeas, 1 can of chickpeas, which I've washed, I've drained, and I've dried really well on a clean tea towel. It's important for the chickpeas to be very dry in this recipe. I've got 1 spring onion which I've chopped. I've got some smoked chili harissa paste, which is available from most supermarkets. I've got 50 grams of plain flour, not bread flour or self-raising, just plain flour. I've got 1 teaspoon of dried cumin. I've got 1 fresh clove of garlic, which I'm going to chop, and I've got a little bit of salt. Over here I've got approximately 20 grams of washed and dried coriander and flat leaf parsley. So I'm going to just chop these together now, because it's nice to kind of chop any fresh herbs at the last minute. Keeps them fresh. So just bringing them together, I'm just going to roughly chop through. Just being careful, taking my time. These are going to get mixed together. Like before, chopping through. Nice sharp knife. I've picked off the larger parsley stems because they can be a bit coarse. But with the coriander, I've kept the stems on because they're very soft and there's as much flavour in the stems of or in the stalks of the coriander as in the leaf. Okay. The other thing I'm going to chop through is just my clove of garlic. And if you don't want to chop the garlic, because it can add quite a strong flavour to your chopping board, you can grate it. Just grate it in to your blender or your food processor. I'm just going to chop it through carefully. That's fine. Okay, just a little hand wash. Right, so over here we've got our Robo Coupe or food processor, and I'm going to add to this my chickpeas. In there. The 50 grams of flour. That's it, straight in. The spring onions, straight in. Cumin, the herbs and the garlic. Carefully just scrape those in. And then 2 heaped teaspoons of harissa paste. If you can't get harissa paste, you can substitute with some smoked paprika, some chopped red chili, and a little olive oil. If you just mix all that together and then add that to your mix, that'll be fine. This is quite easy to find in most supermarkets. So 2 heaped tablespoons of that, and that gives a real sort of fiery kick to this dish. A good pinch of salt. It brings the flavours out. Just going to add that. We're not looking to we're not looking to puree these chickpeas right down, like if you were making hummus. We're just looking to break the chickpeas up nicely and incorporate all the ingredients. You don't want it too wet and mushy. You just want to. So I'm just going to pulse this a couple of times. That's it. Good. And then, yeah, it's looking good. You can see in there, that's started to break down and come together. I'm just going to scrape down the sides with my spatula, making sure that it's all mixing up evenly. If you can see that the chickpeas and the other ingredients, they're nicely broken up and mixed together, but they're not pureed down to a mush. So now that that's mixed, get myself a nice clean bowl, transfer all of that. There we are, lovely. Okay, so now we've taken our mix out of the food processor, out of the RoboCoupe. This is what we're left with, and you can see that the chickpeas, they're broken down, but they're not completely pureed to a mush. You want to keep that sort of coarseness, and then you've got all the other ingredients nicely incorporated. So, with nice clean hands, we're just going to make our burgers, our falafel burgers. So, bring it together, you know, make it sort of into a ball, pat it together. You don't want to make these too thick, you know, because you want them to cook through, you know. About 3/4 of an inch thick, really. Not too fat. Take your time. And the warmth of your hands will help to bring it all together. Something like that, you know. Lovely. Cling film the whole plate. I'm going to place these in the fridge just to firm up slightly. Okay, just whilst our burgers are setting in the fridge, our patties, I'm going to show you how to make a little tzatziki, which is a Greek yogurt dressing, which I think works really well with the finished burgers. We're going to put on our burgers at the end. So the ingredients for that are 170 grams of Greek yogurt, half a cucumber, which I've split down the middle, and I've got some fresh mint, which I'm going to pick. I've washed. I'm going to pick and chop that, and that's going to go in as well. Okay, so for the cucumber, I've split it down the middle, and you see one half I've already taken the seeds out. This half, I'm going to do the same. So again, getting a little teaspoon, I'm just going to scrape these seeds out into my little bin here. And then with a grater, I'm going to grate up the cucumber. Now, once that's grated, I'm going to get a clean tea towel. I'm just going to place the clean tea towel here and then the cucumber onto the tea towel. Use my knife for this, cook's knife. Just scoop it up. There we are. I'm just going to get a little bit of salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle maybe a teaspoon of salt over the cucumber. And that'll help draw out the moisture. So we're going to let that just work its magic for about a minute, or as long as it takes to chop this mint. It's important actually, especially now during this time of pandemic, to wash herbs, you know, because they can carry bacteria. Okay, so that's going to be enough mint, I think. I'm just going to get my cook's knife, and I'm just going to run my knife through this. Sharp knife. I think that'll be plenty, and that'll be chopped enough for the tzatziki. So yeah, added some salt to the cucumber. Going back to this, that will have started to draw the moisture out, because we don't want excessive moisture in the tzatziki. And I'm just going to squeeze that out now. So nice clean cloth, and then squeeze it out. See how the amount of moisture that's coming out of there is quite substantial, and that would make the tzatziki go really watery if I left it in, you know. So that's nicely squeezed out. I'm going to open this up. You can see that's a lot drier than it was. So straight into my bowl here. Just the cucumber. Straight in with my mint, chopped mint. And then the 170 grams of Greek yogurt. That's as simple as that. Lovely tzatziki. It's really cooling, really fragrant, really tasty, and it'll work really well with these burgers, I think. There we are. I'm just going to transfer this to a little bowl. And it's a really nice tzatziki, you know, incidentally, it's a really nice garnish for lots of other dishes, you know, like meatballs or any kind of sort of spicy dishes. Just going to cling film this. So that's ready to go. The falafel burgers have had 10 minutes or so setting up in the fridge. And there we are, they're looking lovely and ready to be cooked. I've got a pan, a non-stick pan over here on a high heat. And it's important to remember that I want to cook the burgers, I want them to be golden brown. So I'm going to add some veg oil to this pan. You can use sunflower or whatever you've got. And I want to cook the burgers, but I want them to cook through, so I don't want them to cook too quickly. So what I'm going to do is add these gently to the pan. And that's one of the reasons I've not made the burgers too thick, because it's important that they cook through as well. You want all the chickpeas and the flour in the middle of the patties to get really hot so that it sets and cooks. This will help to hold the patties together, and it'll also ensure that once you eat it, it doesn't taste of flour. It's all cooked and nice and hot in the center. So you're probably looking at 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes each side. You want them to cook, you want them to be crisp and golden brown, but you want them to cook through as well. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that. I might even turn that down just a little bit to a medium-high heat. My shooting stick. Okay, so they're cooking nicely. Whilst they're cooking, I'm going to toast off a couple of burger buns. Just under the grill here. Now, you can use any bread that you want. I'm using these buns because we had them in the Sobar freezer. And, you know, this kind of cooking is about being economical and using what you've got, right? They're looking nice. I'm going to toast those buns off. Those over to my little workstation, ready to be dressed. Lovely. Ooh, that's the kind of colour we're looking for. See that, nice and golden brown. A really good technique for seeing if your food is hot in the middle is just getting a clean knife and put it into the center. Give that a few seconds, and then just hold the tip just to your top lip. And if it's warm, it's cooked in the middle. That's going to take another minute or so. So I'm just going to flip those over one more time. See, they're colouring up really nicely now, looking golden brown. Add a little more oil to the pan actually, just as a medium. Flip them one more time. They're coming on really nicely now. Almost ready. That's nice and warm now. Okay, so I'm going to transfer one of these over to a warmed plate, and another one I'm going to put in this pan here, and I'm going to add some vegan cheese that we had in the fridge at Sobar. I'm going to stick that under the grill just to see how that turns out, really. Whilst that's finishing under the grill, I'm going to start dressing these buns. The tzatziki that we made earlier, I'm going to add just a little to the base. And we'll go on both of those actually. And you can use whatever you want, right? Glazing up nicely. Little shredded iceberg lettuce. Cheeseburger, vegan cheeseburger, so regular burger. So the cheeseburger, we've got the tzatziki, we've got the iceberg, we've got the patty with the vegan cheese. I'm just going to try using some of these lovely little pickles that Chef Tom made just before we locked down. We've got some pickled gherkin there, and we've got some pickled beetroot. Stick those on, and for this other burger, I'm going to go with some fresh tomatoes and some spring onions, and then just a little little bit of this hot sauce as well. Go. There's your two different dressings. And then with the Sobar sticks, chop chop onto your plates. Go. That is the two falafel burgers, dressed slightly differently. One using Chef Tom's pickles, some vegan cheese, some tzatziki, and some iceberg lettuce. The other, again, with some tzatziki, iceberg, but with some fresh tomatoes, some hot sauce, and some chopped spring onion. These are just ideas for how you might want to present these, but you can do them any way you want, anything that you've got in your fridge. Experiment, have fun, and enjoy cooking. Thank you.